Hi everyone, this is Teacher Diane and welcome to our video lesson in Mathematics 10. In this lesson, we are going to discuss solving word problems involving measures of position for ungrouped and grouped data. Before we proceed to our discussion, let us answer first the pre-assessment for 30 seconds. Check your own answers. 1 is D, 2 B, 3 B, 4 D, 5 A. If you got 4 or 5, great job! For better understanding, let us continue learning. At the end of this video lesson, you will learn to interpret measures of position and solve problems involving measures of position. Problem solving includes analytical, logical, and evaluating skill to solve a certain problem. These are the steps in solving word problem. First, analyze the given problem, evaluate the whole problem, identify the values needed, find the needed formula for the question, and solve to find the final answer. Let us have an example to find the quartile for ungrouped data. The owner of a coffee shop in Alabang recorded the number of customers who came into his cafe each hour in a day. The results were 14, 10, 12, 9, 17, 5, 8, 9, 14, and 11. Find the lower quartile and upper quartile of the data. This is the solution in the given problem. Arrange the data in ascending order, which is 5, 8, 9, 9, 10, 10, 11, 12, 14, 14, and 17. The least value in the data is 5, and the greatest value in the data is 17. The middle value in the data is 10. The lower quartile is between the middle value and the least value in the data set. So, the lower quartile is 9. The upper quartile is the value that is between the middle value and the greatest value in the data set. So, the upper quartile is 14. Let us have an example in interpreting the deciles for ungrouped data. Miss Brooke gave a test to her students in statistics. The students finished their test in 35 minutes. This time is the 2.5th decile of the allotted time. What does this mean? This means that 25% of the learners finished the test. A low quartile considered good because it means that the students finished the test in a short period of time. Another example is to find the percentile for ungrouped data. Find the 30th percentile or P sub 30 of the summative test in math of 10 students. 35, 42, 40, 28, 15, 23, 33, 20, 18, and 28. This is the solution in the given example. First, arrange the scores from the lowest to the highest. 15, 18, 20, 23, 28, 28, 33, 35, 40, 42. To find P sub 30, use the formula K multiplied by the quantity n plus 1 over 100, where K is equal to 30 and n is equal to 10 because there are 10 given numbers. P sub 30 is equal to 30 multiplied by the quantity 10 plus 1 over 100. That is equal to 3.3 or 3. P sub 30 is the third element. Therefore, P sub 30 is equal to 20. Since you know already how to find the quartile, decile, and percentile in ungrouped data, we will now have examples in solving word problem involving measure of position for group data. To solve word problems involving measures of position, the following are to be followed. Letter A. Read and understand the problem carefully. B. Identify the given and the data being asked in the problem. C. Identify the measure of position to be used, the quartile, decile, and percentile. D. Identify the formula to be used. The following are the formula for the different measures of position. Quartile. Q sub k is equal to LB plus the quantity k times n over 4 minus CF sub b over F sub q sub k times I. In decile, D sub k is equal to LB plus the quantity kn over 10 minus CF sub b over F sub b sub k times I. In percentile, P sub k is equal to LB plus the quantity kn over 100 minus CF sub b over F sub p sub k times I, where LB is equal to lower boundary of the kth percentile, decile, or quartile class. N is the total frequency. CF sub b is equal to cumulative frequency before the percentile, decile, or quartile class. F sub p sub k is equal to frequency of the percentile class. F sub d sub k is equal to frequency of the decile class. F sub q sub k is equal to frequency of the quartile class. I is equal to the size of the class interval. K is equal to nth percentile, nth quartile, or nth decile. Measures of position give us a way to see where a certain data point or value falls in a sample or distribution. A measure can tell us whether a value is about the average or whether it's unusually high or low. These measures of position are used to interpret data and some solve real-life problems. Let us now have examples in group data. Example 1 for quartile. A sample of college students was asked how much they spent daily on a cell phone load to the nearest peso. The data gathered are presented in the table below. Then solve for the second quartile, or Q sub 2. This is the solution in the given problem. Complete the frequency distribution table. We have the class interval, frequency, lower boundaries, less than cumulative frequency. Just copy the class interval in the given and the frequency. To find the interval, we just count 10 to 19. So the interval is 10. To find n, just add the frequency. That is equal to 60. To find the lower boundaries, just subtract 0.5 in the smallest class interval. 10 minus 0.5 is equal to 9.5. 20 minus 0.5 is equal to 19.5. 30 minus 0.5 is equal to 29.5. 40 minus 0.5 is equal to 39.5. 50 minus 0.5 is equal to 49.5. Those are the class boundaries. Next is to find the less than cumulative frequency or less than CF. Just copy the smallest frequency in the class interval. So that is 8. 8 plus 16, that is 24. 24 plus 21 is equal to 45. 45 plus 11 is equal to 56. 56 plus 4 is equal to 60. This one should be the same with the total number of frequency. Next is to solve for the Q sub 2 class. Q sub 2 class is equal to 2 times n over 4 equals 2 times n is equal to 60 over 4. That is equal to 120 over 4 equals 30. Find the class interval where the 30th score is contained. The 25th to 45th scores belong to the class interval, 30 to 39. So, the 30th score is also within the class interval. The Q sub 2 class is in the interval of 30 to 39. Next is to identify the data needed in the formula. Lower boundary is equal to 29.5. N is equal to 60. CF sub B is equal to 24. Should be less than the Q sub 2 class, 24. F Q sub 2 is equal to 21. So the frequency is 21 in the Q sub 2 class. I is equal to 10 for the interval. Let us substitute the data that we have identified a while ago in the formula. Q sub 2 is equal to LB plus 2 times n over 4 minus CF sub B over F sub Q sub 2 times the interval. Lower boundary or LB is equal to 29.5 plus 2 times n, that is 60. 2 times 60 is equal to 120 divided by 4 is equal to 30 minus CF sub B is equal to 24 over 21 multiplied by 10. 30 minus 24 is equal to 6 divided by 21. That is equal to 0.286 times 10. 2.86 added to 29.5 is equal to 32.36. To give the conclusion, therefore, 50% of the students spent less than or equal to 32.36 pesos daily for their cell phone load. For better understanding in decile, let us have another example of word problem. A certain group of individuals conducted a research in Muntinlupa about women having multiple delivery births in 2002. The data represent the age distribution of a sample of 70 women having multiple delivery births in 2002. Calculate D sub 2. The first step is to complete the frequency distribution table. Just copy the age group and the number. To identify the interval, just count 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, so the interval is 5. To find n, just add the number. 3 plus 17 plus 28 plus 16 plus 5 plus 1. So n is equal to 70. To find the lower boundary, just subtract 0.5 to the smallest age in the class interval. 15 minus 0.5 is equal to 14.5. 20 minus 0.5 is equal to 19.5. 25 minus 0.5 is equal to 24.5. 30 minus 0.5 is equal to 29.5. 35 minus 0.5 is equal to 34.5. 40 minus 0.5 is equal to 39.5. Next is to find the cumulative frequency less than. To find that, we will start with the lowest age. That is, copy just 1. 1 plus 5 is equal to 6. 6 plus 16 is 22. 22 plus 28 is equal to 50. 50 plus 17 is equal to 67. 67 plus 3 is equal to 70. This should be the same with the value of n, 70. After completing the frequency distribution table, let us solve for D sub 2 class. D sub 2 class is equal to 2 times n over 10. That is equal to 2 times 70 over 10. That is equal to 140 divided by 10. That is equal to 14. Find the class interval where the 14th score is contained. The 7th to 22nd scores belong to the class interval 25 to 29. So, the 14th score is also within the class interval. The D sub 2 class is the class interval 25 to 29. Identify the data needed in the formula. Since your D sub 2 class is between 25 to 29, your lower boundary is 24.5. N is equal to 70. CF sub B is equal to 6. That is less than the cumulative frequency. F B sub 2 is equal to 16. And I is equal to 5. Let us substitute the data that we have identified a while ago. Let us solve for D sub 2. D sub 2 is equal to LB plus the quantity 2 times n over 10 minus CF sub B over F sub D sub 2 times the interval. D sub 2 is equal to the lower boundary, 24.5 plus 2 times n, that is 2 times 70 is 140 divided by 10 is equal to 14 minus CF sub B is equal to 6 divided by F sub D sub 2, that is equal to 16 times the interval 5. D sub 2 is equal to 24.5 plus 14 minus 6 is equal to 8 divided by 16 times 5. 8 divided by 16 is equal to 0.5 multiplied by 5. That is equal to 2.5 added to 24.5. So d sub 2 is equal to 27. To give the conclusion, therefore, 20% of the women having multiple delivery births have age less than or equal to 27. To better understand percentile, let us have an example of word problem. A researcher conducted a study on the daily wages of workers in the province of Laguna. The table at the right shows the result, the daily wages of 40 workers. What is the 35% of the distribution? To solve the problem, let us complete the frequency distribution table. We have the daily wages in pesos, numbers of workers, lower boundary, cumulative frequency less than. Just copy the daily wages given and the number of workers. To find the interval 301 to 325, the interval is 25. To find n, just add the number of workers. That is equal to 40. To determine the lower boundary, just subtract 0.5 to the smallest daily wages in the class interval. 301 minus 0.5 is equal to 300.5. 326 minus 0.5 is equal to 325.5. 351 minus 0.5 is equal to 350.5. 376 minus 0.5 is equal to 375.5. 401 minus 0.5 is equal to 400.5. 426 minus 0.5 is equal to 425.5. To find the cumulative frequency less than, we will start with the lowest number of workers in the daily wages. 3. Just copy 3. 3 plus 5 is equal to 8. 8 plus 8 is equal to 16. 16 plus 9 is equal to 25. 25 plus 12 is equal to 37. 37 plus 3 is equal to 40. This should be the same with n, that is equal to 40. Next is to solve for the P sub 35 class. P sub 35 class is equal to 35 times n divided by 100 equals 35 times 40 is equal to 1,400 and divided by 100 is equal to 14. Find the class interval where the 14th score is contained. The 9th to 16th scores belongs to the class interval 351 to 375. So, the 14th score is also within the class interval. The P sub 35 class is the class interval 351 to 375. Let us identify now the data needed in the formula. Lower boundary is equal to 350.5, n is equal to 40, CF sub B is equal to 8. It should be less than the cumulative frequency. And frequency of the P sub 35 class, that is 8. And the interval is equal to 25. Let us substitute the data needed in the formula. LB is equal to 350.5, N is equal to 40, CF sub B is equal to 8, F sub P sub 35 is equal to 8, I is equal to 25. P sub 35 is equal to lower boundary plus the quantity 35 times n over 100 minus CF sub B divided by F sub P sub 35 times I. LB is equal to 350.5 plus 35 times N is 40 divided by 100 is equal to 14 minus 8 divided by 8 times 25. 350.5 plus 14 minus 8 is equal to 6 divided by 8 times 25. 6 divided by 8 is equal to 0.75 multiplied by 25. That is equal to 18.75 plus 350.5. So, P sub 35 is equal to 369.25. To give the conclusion or the interpretation, therefore, 35% of the workers or at most 14 of the workers are earning less than 369.25 pesos and at most 65% or 26 of the workers are earning more than 369.25 pesos. Now, we have learned that the measures of position or quantiles, which are the quartiles, deciles, and percentiles, are values that refer to the position of a specific score, object, or item in a set of data after arranging them from least to greatest. Quartiles, deciles, and percentiles are having relationships. First quartile, or Q sub 1, is equal to 2.5 decile, or D sub 2.5 is equal to 25th percentile, or P sub 25. Third quartile, or Q sub 3, is equal to 7.5 decile, or D sub 7.5 is equal to 75th percentile, or P sub 75. Second quartile, or Q sub 2, is equal to 5th decile, or D sub 5 is equal to 50th percentile, or P sub 50 is also the median. We have learned also to solve word problems involving measures of position. The following are to be followed. Letter A. Read and understand the problem carefully. B. Identify the given and the data being asked in the problem. C. Identify the measure of position to be used, the quartile, decile, and percentile. And D. Identify the formula to be used. For your post-assessment, please get your pen and paper and answer this for 30 seconds. Check your own answers. If you complete the table and the data are correct, give yourself 5 points. If you got Q sub 1, D sub 6, and P sub 90 correct, give yourself 5 points. Very good if you got 10 points. Congratulations! For your assignment, copy the problem and calculate Q sub 1, D sub 5, and P sub 75. Thank you for watching and happy learning!